Whole bunch of legal news here today and a whole bunch of cleanup. It's a topic that we've been talking about for the past few days here. It's those Texas Democrats that just wanted to flee in order to not vote on the election integrity bill. That was coming through the House, already been passed in the Senate down there in Texas, and yeah, they just couldn't be asked to show up for the vote, so they all hopped on a private plane, flew to Washington, D.C. Whole bunch of these fully vaccinated Congress people, men, women, I guess there's some men in there, just you couldn't tell by their testosterone count, but apparently they were there. And yeah, looks like they just kept popping. Yesterday we found out that yeah, there were 6, okay, and a Pelosi aide who was really close to the situation also popped for it as well. And then in the wake of that, instead of asking for full and total transparency, yeah, they're just going to shut their fucking mouths about it. I'm not shocked by this. Of course not. It's rules for thee and not for me, okay? And normally, I wouldn't give a fuck about wanting to know all of this information, but they're also publicly elected officials, and to be completely honest, they're fugitives just escaping Texas law at the moment, and I have no sympathy for these people who continue to push this entire narrative that everybody needs the jab and everybody needs to be wearing a mask and keep going harder and keep going deeper with these fucking protocols. I don't mind holding them up to their own rules and regulations. That's fine. I'm not going to ask anybody else to abide by them. That's my principle. And you know what? We'll just allow them to languish in their own, shall we? And yeah, they aren't going to live up to their own promise. They are just going to be hypocrites about all this stuff anyways, so don't let them be. Keep calling them out whenever you see hypocrisy such as this. Texas Democrats will no longer release a daily COVID-19 case count after 6 state lawmakers have contracted the virus. A spokeswoman. Oh, now you can use gendered pronouns? You can use gendered language out there, rather, because I seem to remember that was a part of the bill, or rather some of the regulations that Nancy Pelosi and her caucus passed at the outset of the meeting of the 116th Congress, whatever number of retardation we're currently on. But it's all right if you're a spokeswoman. Or spokesperson if you're a man. Cara Santucci, the spokeswoman for the Texas House Democrats, confirmed the party's 6th COVID case among the delegation to NBC News and told the media outlet that state Democrats will no longer release a daily case count. Why? Why? Texas state taxpayer money is going to fund their trip, is funding them being in Washington, D.C. right now. They have the right to know this kind of stuff. We're focusing on our daily testing, following and going beyond the CDC's guidelines, because those mean a whole hell of a lot. Social distancing and wearing masks as much as possible. We're just not going to release daily counts because that would make people question if Democrats were lying about actually getting the jab. Just once again telling you to do as I say, not as I do. But there's not a whole lot more to this story, so we got to keep moving along. And like I said, it's a cleanup day so far, and we're going to be moving into a whole host of legal topics for the rest of the day. And this is going to be one of those through lines that follows through to at least the next video as well. But for right now, Larry Elder is going to be on the ballot. Just talked about this yesterday of some actual systemic racism happening, at least by their terminology, of a black man being held down by the government, okay? He filed all the paperwork and realized that, hey, guess what? I'm not going to be on the ballot. What the fuck? Oh, you didn't release enough of your tax returns. I released 5 years, and you guys are obliged to tell me if I missed anything out, and I can just go in there and remedy that for you, so I'm just going to sue to get on the ballot. And that didn't take long, because he wins in court. California must put him on the recall ballot. Like I said, I don't think that this is really going to amount to much, even though I do think in that entire field, that very, very crowded field at the moment, he is far and away the best candidate, right? The most name recognition within political spheres. Caitlyn Jenner just far and away has more name recognition, but somebody who would actually be good for the job, it's Larry Elder, without a doubt. Let's see how this shook out. Conservative talk show host Larry Elder won his court challenge Wednesday to California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, who must put him on the list of candidates in the September 14th election to recall incumbent Gavin Newsom. Breitbart News reported Tuesday Elder's campaign sued the Secretary of State after she excluded him from the list of 41 candidates. Oh my God. Some of you motherfuckers need to start dropping off because this is a little bit ridiculous. You guys don't normally have a fucking chance. And when we talked about this, what was that, Sunday? Yeah, there's a whole host of issues behind this, and the fact that it's such a crowded field, that helps Newsom. even though he doesn't really need it. But when you're trying to run down an entire list, some people will just see the first one with an R next to the name and fucking check the box. But because it's a special election, you're not terribly likely to pull in a whole bunch of low information voters. So I gotta take that argument with a little bit of a grain of salt. But let's figure out who are the pretenders and who are the actual contenders in this. If a majority of voters choose to recall him, Newsom will be replaced. He also has to run again in 2022. This doesn't reset his clock or anything. This right here is just, you did such a poor fucking job for the past 3 years. Mainstream media wants to glob this on, oh, they were just having those restrictions, and some of those crazy far-right weirdos just thought that the restrictions were too much. Don't mind the fact that he didn't listen to any of the restrictions. No, look at the bankruptcy situation. Look at the California flight that's been happening over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years at this point. Not all of it can be lumped on Gavin Newsom, but he didn't stop the bleeding whatsoever. He in fact just put his fingers into the wound and ripped it wide open. Elder's campaign denied the accusations, noting that he turned in 5 years of tax returns on time, also arguing that the law requiring candidates to submit tax returns did not apply to recalls anyway. Elder also noted that the Secretary of State had exempted Newsom from the requirement. Very interesting. Another instance of rules for thee, saying he was not a candidate. The people voted to recall him. He has to win back his position. Questions abound, my guys. Judge Lori Earle, sexy name, agreed with the point. Preliminarily, I am not convinced that Election Code Section 8902 applies to recall elections, and if it did, I am inclined to find that Mr. Elder substantially complied. After the lawyer for all parties had a change or perhaps chance to present their case, Earle made her final ruling, and the long and short of it is, Elder's going to be on the ballot. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a good bellwether, okay? Because were there some shenanigans the last time that California had a wide-ranging election? I don't know. Nobody's really looked at the numbers or anything, but this is going to be a nice, strong test. I don't know. It's a crowded field, and at the same time, these are going to be the diehards who are going to be coming out for this election anyway. So, questions abound. Questions abound. Something else that's also kind of clean up as well. Dems still be salty over the fucking January 6th picnic trip. There's no two ways about it, okay? Like, they want to put out their panel to do the investigation, even though they already had the impeachment inquisition. They already had the Department of Justice putting a probe out there, which reports still haven't come back on that one. And then you have the completed Capitol Hill Police Department and Washington, D.C. joint effort to investigate it. But no, you need Congress to pay more millions of dollars of taxpayer money to once again come back empty fucking handed. And because Republicans have, got a say on this one, they were going to put in some people who were going to ask some tough questions. And when you think about good Republicans in the House, the names like, Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, kind of, sort of, Madison Cawthorn, Lauren Boebert, those names come to mind. And Jim Jordan was supposed to be a part of this, along with Jim Banks. And no, Pelosi wasn't going to have any of that. She wanted to have her hand-picked rhinos, just like that delegation that went to speak with Biden about the infrastructure plan. You guys remember the names of those GOP senators that were there? Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. It's the same old Rhino Brigade that was down there. And that's what she wants in this instance. But at least Kevin McCarthy wants to push back against this. Is he going to be effective in it? Highly unlikely, but at least he's putting up the front right now that they aren't going to be participating in this fucking nonsense unless you let us put people in place that are going to ask some tough questions. Republicans indicated on July 21st that they may boycott a select House committee formed to investigate the January 6th U.S. Capitol breach after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she wouldn't accept 2 GOP lawmakers tapped by the panel by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Pelosi rejects Representatives Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, both of whom objected to the 2020 electoral results during the joint session of Congress held on January 6th. Those are insurrectionists! Shut up. Fuck off. with respect to the integrity of the investigation, with an instance on the truth and with concern about statements made and actions taken by these members, I must reject the recommendation of Representatives Banks and Jordan to the Select Committee, Pelosi said in a statement. McCarthy told reporters on Capitol Hill that Pelosi's move was unprecedented. Yeah, she just doesn't want people who are going to ask questions to be there. Plain and simple. She just wanted another controlled opposition of people who were just going to roll over and submit to any demands that they wanted. She wanted Liz Cheney. She wanted Adam Kinzinger, Anthony Gonzalez. I forget the rest of their names, but you also have the list. All of the same ones that would have lined up to vote for impeachment because it was so scary that day, even though only Ashley Babbitt died when she was shot by one of the officers that were there, who we're not allowed to name, but the name escapes me. It just kind of flies out of my mouth. Anyways, let's go down to some of McCarthy's statement. Unless Speaker Pelosi reverses course and seats all 5 Republican nominees, Republicans will not be party to their sham process. So at least it's a little bit stronger worded the farther you go down into the statement, because from the outset it just looks like, yeah, they might not, but eventually they're just going to roll over because herder establishment Republicans. But fucking imagine this. Pelosi announced the formation of the panel after Republicans in the Senate blocked a bill that would create a 9/11 style commission. Why bother going to 9/11? Biden says that it's the worst thing to happen since the Civil War, for fuck's sake, so why not have a Civil War commission? To investigate the breach, every Democrat and 2 Republicans voted last month to create the Select Committee. Pelosi later named 7 members, all Democrats, except for Republican Liz Cheney. Who the fuck is shocked? Nobody. Several objected to electoral votes in 2017. Republicans noted, yeah, but that was Orange Man, and Orange Man bad. Now we're going to be investigating Orange Man. So anybody who support Orange Man, equal if not worse Nazis. That's their thought process. They're fucking dumb people. They're dumb, corrupt people. Somebody's got to hold them accountable. Ted Cruz is going to hold him accountable. Cruz leads 24 GOP senators to file amicus brief in Supreme Court case protecting Second Amendment because, yeah, when they're not too busy bitching and moaning over the little fucking window-shattering event that happened at the Capitol on January 6th, they're coming for the guns because they don't need this to happen again, even though no guns and no real actual weapons were found that day. But whatever, there were some tactical scissors in an unopened Lego box. But you know what? Everybody's made the hack joke. You step on a Lego, it's pretty devastating. But they're coming for your guns. It's plain and simple. There's that little bill out there. What is it? HB 127? I'm trying to remember. It's the one that effectively is gun control, creates a national registry, and you got to insure your guns, pay for your guns all the time. And remember, only law-abiding citizens would be affected by this. Criminals are still going to get the fucking guns at the end of the day, but 24 senators filing a brief at the Supreme Court to address the Second Amendment. They've taken up one fucking Second Amendment case since 2011, I do believe. So somebody's got to fucking rule on this, okay? Is it going to be the John Roberts 333 court? 3 conservatives with Gorsuch, Alito, and Thomas? It's fucking weird that 2 of the 3 conservatives were appointed by Bush's, 2 of the best justices, Alito and Thomas. And then you got the leftists, obviously. You got that ancient fucking fossil Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. And then the centrists in the middle, you got Chief Justice John Roberts. You got Brett Kavanaugh, who should have let that motherfucker hang in 2018. And then you got, the biggest disappointment that the world has ever produced, but somebody who I was also skeptical of when we first covered her and was going over the selections, ACB disaster. Absolute disaster she's been. But whatever, let's see if they take this one up, and let's see what this one is all about, of course. Ted Cruz, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, led 24 other Republican senators to file an amicus brief arguing that the New York State law making it harder to carry a gun outside the home violates the Second Amendment. Sounds like it. You know what? I'm of the opinion that any of these gun control measures violates one of the first lines of the Second Amendment itself. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Oh, but what about cannons? What about miniguns? Well, ask Thomas Jefferson about them. He would say, yeah, cool, dope, send me a picture of it. They wanted everything. They knew all about the different upcoming technology. They didn't think that fucking muskets would be around forever. They knew about air rifles. They knew about quasi-semi-automatic pistols. They were well aware that the technology was going to keep evolving. That's why it was written that way. But in today's day and age, the Constitution's just a little dinner napkin or a nice little pocket square. In regards to the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin case, which is currently pending before the U.S. Supreme Court, the senators wrote. That's the first case that I think that the court's taken up. I think so. Legislators, whether in Albany or New York or Washington, D.C., have neither the power nor the authority to second-guess the policy judgments made by the framers, and enshrined in the Constitution. They added that the framers' decision to guarantee the right to the people to keep and bear arms after weighing all the policy considerations is definitive. The New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, or SRAP, representing Robert Nash and Brendan Koch, brought a federal lawsuit in February of 2018 against New York Police Superintendent and a local licensing officer. After the New York District Court sided with the superintendent, SRAP filed a petition with the Supreme Court in December of 2020 in which questions presented to the court was whether the Second Amendment allows the government to prohibit ordinary law-abiding citizens to carry handguns outside the home for self-defense. I'd argue that would. You read the Constitution, sounds about right. You read the Federalist Papers, it sounds about right. But if you read anything that has to do with New York and their gun control laws, they would rather you put it in your mouth than carry it outside. Just saying. Oh wow, it looks like a turtle's right twice a day. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who is among the senators who signed the brief, said it is their sworn duty to uphold the Constitution. Well, you got to do something, I suppose, to justify that gigantic salary. Elected officials swear to support and defend the Constitution, and so must respect when the framers took a decision into their hands. The Second Amendment guarantees all the right to keep and bear arms cannot be second-guessed by legislators across the country who simply disagree with the choice the framers make. That was a statement from the turtle, and at least it has some institutional backing, so perhaps it goes somewhere. Who knows? Mitch McConnell basically put everybody that's on the bench right now, who was appointed by Trump, he handpicked them there, so I could see this one getting picked up. And it's about time this gets fucking decided. Okay? Can you have carry outside your home? Can you not? Figure it out. And at the end of the day, there are some good Second Amendment justices on the court. We just haven't had the opportunity to see them flex their muscle on that because it just keeps getting fucking tossed. 4 people have never been able to take it up because that's all you need in order to take up an argument in the Supreme Court. You just need 4 justices to sign off on this kind of shit. So we'll see. We'll see. And finally, one more person being held to task, and you'll love to see it. One of the good ones out there, Rand Paul. I was going to say his father. Yes, Rand Paul sending criminal referral of Fauci to Justice Department. I'm sure it'll fall on deaf ears, but I just love this little bickering match between a 50 and an 80-year-old. It's, I don't know, it just kind of warms my heart that it doesn't matter how old you get, you can still be petty back and forth artists, and just a bunch of sassy old brittle men just going back and forth, and Fauci always ending on a wrong end of it. One of his cure for AIDS back in the 80s was keeping soap on a rope, but now in 2020 he should consider keeping his dignity on a rope. Senator Rand Paul on Wednesday sent a criminal referral of Dr. Anthony Fauci to the Justice Department in the aftermath of the contentious back and forth during a congressional hearing. I can't believe this is still going on. The letter urges Attorney General Merrick Garland, the dumbest man who has ever held that position. No proper way to quantify that. I've seen his testimonies. Not a bright man. To probe Fauci over comments he made during a May congressional hearing. Fauci, during the hearing, claimed that the National Institute of Health has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Oh, I'm sorry. That appears to be, at least by the receipts provided, to be a lie. However, according to typical gain-of-function definitions, including one offered by Fauci in 2012. Yeah, you're not supposed to go back into the past. It's just what he said recently, because if you look back at any of the previous statements he's made, yeah, it doesn't reflect too well on his medical knowledge, but I am the science, so you gotta follow what I do. And a study published 2017 by Wuhan researchers would be considered such research. I ask you to investigate whether Dr. Fauci's statements to Congress violate federal law, Rand Paul wrote in a letter. The senator accused Fauci of lying during a Senate hearing earlier in the day, a charge Fauci has disputed. Well, he said that they didn't, and then they have proof that he did, by cherry-picking and changing some definitions. Some shit that Fauci and his ilk love to do all the time, so I guess that's kind of a good way to bookend this segment. You don't let these idiots play by different rules. Don't allow them to appeal to your own morality. Let them hang by their own rules. And with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.